So welcome to this session and thank you for choosing it. So this session is all about storytelling and gamification in teaching and learning, and how we've built an escape room or two, which showcases the use of Creator Plus within Brightspace. So contributing to the session today is myself, Sue Foley, Steve Bentley, and Paul and Mohamad are our current placement students, and we all work at the University of Huddersfield, and we work in a team called the Strategic Teaching and Learning Team. So this is what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to talk about how we sort of gamified Brightspace and created a game within it for staff development purposes. And it was mainly to showcase what Brightspace can do and the functionality within it. And we're going to show you two escape rooms, one that we did in December 22, which was about external tools. We used puzzles and release conditions and quizzes within Brightspace to work through the story. And then shortly after that, we bought Creator Plus. So we decided to do a different one in December 23 and showcase Creator Plus. And we also used AI in that as well. So it's a very different one. So we're going to show you both today, but more on that later. So just a little bit about Huddersfield. So it's a town in Yorkshire in northern England, and it's situated between Manchester and Leeds. We're a university that's got about 20,000 students, and we're primarily face-to-face because we have a very strong practical emphasis. But we also have a growing distance learning provision. So we've got a new distance learning unit, and that area is emerging as we speak. We're also a D2L customer and have been for about 7 years now. I think we were one of the first in the UK to move to Brightspace. So we're talking about some sessions we ran that were part of our Learning Bites series, which are a suite of staff development sessions that we run monthly on different learning technologies and educational technologies. And we get to do them on a variety of topics, and we get people from across the university to contribute to these sessions. The emphasis is on pedagogy always, but we also send out links always in an email following the session that links to screencast guides, how-to guides on how to do everything that we talk about during the session. And we also are looking at outcomes, what these tools can do, rather than the sort of technical aspects of the tools. And what we do each year is do a Christmas special Learning Bite session, and that's what we're going to be talking about. We put a bit of work into, or quite a lot of work into, producing something that's a fun activity for staff to work through. And not only is it a fun thing to do, but it acts as a developmental activity for our placement students who start in September, and by December are getting used to Brightspace, and it gives them something to really get their teeth into and build and use their creative skills. So we're going to start just by showing you a little bit about the first escape room we built, which was in Christmas 2022. And the premise behind this one is that we have a new building just about to be opened. Obviously, it's fictitious. It was called the King Charles building, so it was topical. And that we're expecting a royal visit from the King and Queen to come and open the building. But shortly before they were due to arrive, we lost the keys to the building. So this activity takes them a series of puzzles to try and find the keys and save the day for the university. So the idea is that we showcase how content can be built within Brightspace. So rather than just adding files, that it can be, it can look nice and how engaging it can be. We also wanted academics to experience Brightspace from the student perspective. So they got that view of a new module. And we also wanted to demonstrate lesser known functionality within Brightspace. So we tried to use a variety of different types of functionality and tools within Brightspace during the escape room. And the idea was not that people sort of lifted this whole idea and built their own escape rooms, because we know that academic staff are quite time poor. But what we were hoping is that they would take elements of it that they liked and transfer that into their context. So that might be a tool, a way we do things, a way we demonstrate things. It could be a number of different things. When we ran this session, we ran it as a synchronous session, but we also built the activity that could be done asynchronously at any time after the session. We also purposely didn't make it Christmas themed, so it would last a bit longer. And we did it in a Teams environment and used breakout rooms so that people work through the task together. It was built so that it could be completed in about 30 minutes, so that it fit nicely in an hour session where we could set up the activity, explain what the people needed to do the breakout session while they worked through it, and then we came back and we explained how we'd built it and answered any questions that they had. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Steve, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the functionality and the activities that we use within Brightspace to do this activity.
Okay, thank you, Sue. So after that first video, the escape room itself was a series of linked activities. And they use release conditions to release things in sequence, often with a quiz to submit an answer. And the first activity was quite simple, just a single item on a checklist. Gentle introduction, but also demonstrating checklists that are not frequently used at the university. After completing that checklist, we're taken to the first real challenge. Here we've got a photograph, and in here are some hidden clues about the next location that our intrepid team will be heading to. So within here we have a QR code, and we've got 3 words on some book spines. 3 words, we're looking for a location. We thought it would be fairly obvious that related to the What 3 Words service, and that's also where the QR code would take you. So 2 ways of getting there. So that takes you to What 3 Words and our Harold Wilson building on campus. And we have a quiz into which you enter Harold Wilson building, various options set up there, and that releases the next part of the adventure. So we wanted to use a variety of tools in Brightspace and also some external tools. So the next activity was security wanting an explanation of why our team wanted to get into a building, and they enter that into a text-only assignment. Then inside, there's a crossword that they find in the paper, and that's built using H5P in Lumi and embedded into Brightspace with SCORM. From there, it's a simple embedded image, and that has a short link URL on a post-it note as part of the picture. That takes them out to a service called Jigsaw Planet, where there's a jigsaw that they have to assemble, and that gives them the final clue that they put into the quiz in Brightspace. We then ask them to submit a press release onto a discussion board in Brightspace, and that completes the activity. So throughout, we've used quizzes to submit the answers to the clues, we've used release conditions to unlock the next section, and we've used awards to confirm progress and also to allow us to monitor progress. So although we wanted this to be primarily a synchronous session, we also wanted to have a longer shelf life on the activity, so we deliberately didn't give it a Christmas theme. And we made sure it worked both as a facilitated synchronous session and a self-paced asynchronous activity. In the synchronous session, we put the teams into breakout rooms, with one member asked to share their screen and drive Brightspace as they worked through the puzzles as a team. We did a little bit of hand-picking of who was in each team to make sure we had somebody who was quite confident with technology in each of the rooms. As facilitators, we used class progress and the awards tool, so we could see where people might be struggling and where we needed to drop into a breakout room and offer some help. After calling time on the escape room, we brought everybody back to a plenary to debrief them and show the techniques that we'd used to build the activity. For the asynchronous use, we made sure that we had some clues, some additional help available after submitting a wrong answer, and those were released based on those release conditions. So that was our first attempt, and Paul's going to show you how we got a lot more ambitious in 2023.
For the December Learning Bites, we aim to build a fun escape room type adventure to showcase the new Creator Plus features available in Brightspace and to demonstrate the benefits storytelling can have on teaching and learning. We used layouts to structure the content and added the elements into the story to make it interactive and more engaging. These interactive elements contain useful information that would be used to solve practices. The way we used practices gave the user an opportunity to test their knowledge on key information from that section of the story. Completing the practice well released a special word in the feedback. Not doing so well, the feedback recommended the user to review the information and try again. The special words would be needed later on in the story. To create the story content and images, we decided we would use AI. We gave a rough idea of the plot to ChatGPT and asked it to give us a breakdown of the story. This process went back and forth as we modified the story to suit the elements and practices we wanted to demonstrate. For the images, we decided to use Bing. We took sections of the story, then simplified them to use as prompts. We then selected the ones that looked similar in style to give some consistency between the content items. My colleague Mohammed will now explain the next part of our process.
To tell the story in an engaging and more exciting way, we have used the layouts in Creator Plus to present AI-generated images along the text and to cut the text into digestible chunks. This is one of several methods we have used to avoid a wall of text and to ensure that the content is visually appealing and easy to follow. By doing this, we aim to maintain readers' interest. Here, we have used the hotspot element to provide information in a more interactive way and to enhance user engagement. Hotspots are clickable areas on a screen. As the user clicks the hotspot, they are presented with information about each item. We have used them to help users explore content in a more interactive way. The information from the hotspots is tested in this fill in the blanks practice. Each activity reveals a word which users collect and input into a quiz at the end to verify and complete the escape room. We do it this way because the responses to these practices are not saved, so we can't track completion as we would with a quiz. Here, we use flip cards to present pieces of information. We then use a sorting activity where learners categorize the foods based on the information and reveal a keyword in the feedback. This shows you how you might use questions to let students check their understanding of a text to encourage active reading. My colleague Steve will now take you through the next section.
So that was the basic gameplay, but we felt something was missing, something to link together the various sections of the escape room. So enter this guy, our animated character. He's the boss back at base, but he serves as a narrator. He sets up the entire concept of the escape room, then pops up to congratulate the team on their progress and point them to the next chapter.
Hello, is my camera on? Yet again I have an assignment that requires your unique skills and keen eye for detail. Dr. Malachi Darkmoor is up to his old tricks again. He is trying to get hold of powerful talismans in his search of power and wealth. But this time he is after the Chrono Scepter. If the legends are true, whoever possesses the Chrono Scepter will have godlike abilities. It is thought to have caused the abrupt end of many ancient civilizations. I have asked Dr. Avery Quinn, an esteemed archaeologist, to lead a team on this perilous quest to secure the 4 parts of the Chrono Scepter before Darkmoor gets to them. Dr. Quinn's team are our best hope, but they will need your help too. Your role will be pivotal. You'll track their progress, gather intel, and offer support. Your knack for piecing together historical clues will be invaluable. Your dedication to preserving history and preventing calamity is commendable. The fate of civilizations is in your hands. Stay vigilant. And good luck.
As well as being a convenient way to address plot holes in our AI-generated story, it's a lot more engaging and immersive than just providing more text to read. The character was created using Adobe Character Animator, which is part of Creative Cloud, and is based on one of the starter puppets that Adobe provide. But with a little bit of Photoshop work, he was transformed from being a medical doctor to our boss back at base, with a variety of locations around HQ using Adobe stock images. Movement is captured by webcam, so here you can see that the puppet's features are mapped to my own. The lips are automatically synchronized to a text-to-speech soundtrack, which I imported, but could be recorded directly from a microphone.
Okay, so sometimes we've done this session when people have asked us certain questions, so we're going to jump into those now. So the first question is, how long did it take to build this?
Yeah, it took quite a while, a couple of months really, but that wasn't full-time development. It was non-on-off thing. And it was really a development task for Paul and Mohammed and Talent and Jury before they're now placement students. And we're not really expecting anybody to take that whole thing and replicate a whole escape room, but to take elements that can be useful to them.
Thank you. And what did we learn from it? What do you think the key things going forward that if other people want to do this, that they can take from this?
Yeah, I think for me, it was sitting and waiting for people to complete the task. We were in the main room while they were in the breakout room, and just giving them time to work it through before you jump in and give them a hand is a bit of a challenge. I think also we underestimated how difficult people would find some of this, so we definitely needed those clues for that asynchronous use later on.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with all of that. Yeah. And how accessible is the escape room? Does it, conform to accessibility standards?
So yeah, we did have some challenges, particularly with the QR code, the what 3 words, that kind of thing. It's difficult not to give away the answers in things like alt text, but there is a technicality in the WCAG, the accessibility guidelines, that means that you can just about get away with it where there's an activity, but it's not ideal. The later version in Creator Plus was a lot more accessible because Creator Plus is designed for accessibility, and that wasn't so reliant on things that were visual clues only.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So we're just going to summarise what we've shown you so far. So what we thought was that the escape rooms and building them was a really good way to show off lots of techniques in Brightspace, lots of functionality that staff could pick and choose what they take forward. We felt that the game element and the competition added engagement and a sort of a fun activity, but were secondary really to what we were trying to achieve. We thought it was a good way to model the use of analytics and progress checking because we could actually check where staff were up to when we showed them that. So things like the awards, quizzes, etc. We could actually keep an eye on them where they were going, and it was a good way to demonstrate that. We did build them for longevity because they did take a long time to build. So if they were just built for a single session, the time effort might not be worth it. But we built them so that they could be used in a both synchronous and asynchronous way. So the asynchronous way meant that they could work through them. We provided clues for them, and also an email address so that if people got stuck all the way through, they could have an email address to find out more and how to get through it. And we've deliberately made them not Christmas themed because obviously that wouldn't be applicable all year long. We also saw it that individual elements can be implemented, so not necessarily the whole escape room. So a few members of staff, I think, thought it was quite a big, jump from what they did normally. So we made it that they could take elements of it and just take that forward depending on their context. So just a few acknowledgements. Firstly, to our previous placement students last year's Teller and Javeria, who helped make that first escape room. To Andy, who was our newsreader in that escape room as well, and to our members of our team, which is the strategic teaching and learning team, who did all the testing for us. I think they quite enjoyed doing that and feeding back to make sure it all worked smoothly when we used it for real. So we've got our contact details there, so feel free to get in touch. So your call to action is to get in touch with us. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've done anything similar or you have any suggestions for us. And you can get in touch using the emails on the screen now or using the hashtag above. Thank you very much for staying this long with us. Bye-bye.